Okay. Good afternoon. I'm John Pelosa. I'm a product manager with Temperature Equipment Corporation, and today we're going to be talking about Panasonic duct-free ductless split systems. Recently, Panasonic and Sanyo combined. Panasonic is a well-established residential air conditioner manufacturer. They have the #1 market share in Japan and Southeast Asia. Sanyo, on the other hand, is very strong on the commercial market with strong R&D capabilities, product development, and engineering. Panasonic started in 1918 as Matsushita Electric, just producing lighting fixtures. They became a global company after World War II. Corporate name changed from Matsushita to Panasonic in 2005 to strengthen its connection to the brand and customers. And Pan means all, Sonic means sound, and so it's all sound. They're involved in multiple industries, and I'm sure you've all seen many of their products: consumer electronics, automotive, healthcare, ventilation, cameras, building products, avionics, and so on. They enjoy the #1 market share in residential air conditioning in the 9,000 to 24,000 BTU range in Japan and Europe to the tune of about 30%. And they're the #1 compressor manufacturer in the world. And they aim to be the #1 green manufacturer by 2018. Right now, they are #6 in the world as far as green, being recognized as a green manufacturer. That's an improvement from earlier years from #10. They also enjoy great brand recognition. This is important when you're at that kitchen table, and that always helps, having a product that people recognize in other parts of their homes. They accomplish this through corporate sponsorships and other investments in marketing. Here's a typical Panasonic split system. It's comprised of 3 major components: the indoor unit, the remote controller, and the outdoor unit. These components are easily connected through a small hole about 3.5 inches through the wall or ceiling, and that's where your refrigerant lines, power, and control wiring, if needed, pass through. Installation is simple. You mount the outdoor unit, you mount the indoor unit, run your refrigerant lines, make your electrical connections, evacuate the indoor unit and the line set, and you're pretty much ready to go. The U.S. market for ductless split systems is growing. Currently, it's about 325,000 systems, and our company has seen great growth in this product, as have many others in the Chicago area. The ductless market has grown by more than 100% since 2004, and roughly half of these are in the 18,000 BTUs and below size. We're talking master bedrooms, difficult to cool spaces in existing houses, sunrooms, 4-season rooms, and so on. And competition that, people used to use room air conditioners and package terminal units. This is a nice replacement for that sort of equipment. Panasonic equipment enjoys certifications listed here. They're AHRI, CSA, and DOE certified. You can find them listed in the AHRI directory, and they also enjoy some Energy Star certifications. It's also environmentally friendly. The refrigerant is R410A, which has a 0 ozone depletion potential. All models meet and exceed federal DOE guidelines for energy efficiency, and that's at 13 SEER. And these units are actually range from 15 SEER up to 21 SEER. Some of this efficiency is accomplished by the use of an inverter compressor. Unlike a standard air conditioner whose compressor turns on and off, the inverter compressor runs at a runs constantly, changing the number of revolutions. The RPMs provide the cooling capacity or heating capacity that's needed, and this gives us better efficiency and it reduces energy use. The way that we control that compressor is DC power is easier to control. DC motors are easier to control than AC motors. And what we do is we convert through an inverter AC to DC power. And from there, we control that motor in the compressor to provide the RPM that is required to provide the capacity that's needed, again, in either cooling or heating. This means the input power decreases too, and this gives us better system efficiency and better energy costs as well. Variable speed inverter-driven compressors provide a range of capacities, and that provides greater comfort as well. More benefits of inverter control. The compressor starts at a slower speed. That gives us a chance to provide better lubrication to the motor and the internal parts of the compressor, which will increase life. System pressures increase gradually too, which reduces noise and stress on piping that you might experience with start-stop type compressors. This gives us a quiet start, and those longer run periods or run times at lower capacities gives us better dehumidification. And fewer compressor starts and stops means less wear and tear on the compressors. That's when compressors break. And all this higher efficiency gives us lower electric bills. Another benefit of inverter control is that we get better cooling capacity control, which provides better comfort. These units typically are controlled by the return air sensor, and as long as we're providing an acceptable discharge air temperature, we can range in the example here of a 9,000 BTU system, anywhere from 4,100 BTUs to 10,200 BTUs in the cooling mode. These systems also reach set points quicker than traditional systems. In our diagram here, a start-stop compressor will start, overshoot, and then turn off, and then come back on and go off, and then go back on and come and turn off again. These compressors ramp up to the comfort zone that we're trying to achieve and stay in that zone for longer run times. And again, this provides better dehumidification and better comfort. There's cost savings to be gotten from these systems, both in the construction of a building and installation. We're running refrigerant pipes instead of ducts. It takes up less space, less bulk. The air handler is closer to the delivery point, and there's no loss of velocity of airflow due to long duct runs. These factors allow a smaller sealing cavity, a shorter sealing cavity, and less bulky materials are used, and that's cheaper to transport. We have very low operating noise levels. The indoor units are driven by DC motors, multi-speed, and that dBA range that we're going to achieve there is 20 to 49. The outdoor units are very quiet too. Lower fan RPM is possible because we have a better designed fan blade, which allows those lower RPMs, which makes it quieter, thicker insulation in the condenser unit cabinet or the heat pump cabinet. And again, that inverter-driven compressor is a slow start, so you don't have the bang that you might experience with a typical scroll compressor. Another benefit is lower cooling costs. We get excellent humidity control in our dry mode that we can use with this equipment. When humidity is controlled, the temperature can be set higher to maintain the same level of comfort. Lower RH, a little bit higher temperature is allowable, and that lowers your cost of operation. Another way of achieving lower operating costs is that you only condition the rooms that you need to. If you're not using the rooms upstairs, you can leave those off and just condition your rooms downstairs, or vice versa. The application of this equipment is very broad: residential, commercial, institutional, government, and so on. I was just going over the applications that I've had over the 5 years or so that I've been selling this equipment. The only ones I haven't had here in Illinois is an oil rig. We also have many, for those of you in the commercial business, we also have many corporate accounts or national accounts that use this equipment. You'll recognize some of those here. We have two different broad categories of equipment, RAC and PAC. RAC is typically your residential air conditioning, more residential and very light commercial applications. PAC is more of the professional air conditioning, and that is your commercial applications, including some low ambient applications that you might have, like IT rooms, computer server rooms, and so on. Now, with the change from Sanyo to Panasonic, you're going to see some old Sanyo equipment out there. We still support this equipment parts-wise and service-wise, technical support-wise. Here's an example of a serial number. When you call in, we're going to need that serial number, and just make sure you have that along with the other information that you typically have on the tech support call. The new Panasonic equipment, serial number is a little bit simpler. You have your unique serial identification number. Date code is a little bit simpler. We have the year of manufacture along with a letter code for the quarter in which the equipment was manufactured. To really narrow it down to the exact month that your equipment was manufactured for warranty purposes and so on, you have to look to your invoice or to the homeowner to provide that information. Let's talk about the room air conditioning products, or the rack products. As you can see, many applications, the in-wall units, these are high walls that we see here, unobtrusive, fairly attractive looking product, and you can put it anywhere in an unobtrusive spot. It's up to you. The rack product line, we'll talk about the 9,000 through 24,000 BTU product in the single zone. All this equipment is R410A. It's all inverter compressors, and the SEER ranges from 17 to 21. Very efficient equipment. It comes in standard cooling, which gives you cooling down to 60 degrees ambient. And then we have low ambient cooling, which gets you down to 5 degrees for the 9 and 12,000 BTU units, and then down to 0 in the 18 and 24 in the cooling mode. Heat pump can also be used in low ambient cooling operations for, again, those commercial applications such as IT rooms, server rooms, and so on. And then it also operates down to 5 degrees for the 9 and 12,000 BTU units in the heating mode, and then to 9 degrees Fahrenheit for the 1.5 and 24,000 BTU units. And again, we do have a number of systems that qualify for Energy Star, so keep that in mind if there's rebate opportunities out there from local utilities or tax advantages for tax return time. Again, staying with the 9 through 24,000 BTU units, standard cooling will operate down to 60 degrees ambient. Now, we have two different lines in cooling only, standard operation and low ambient. Make sure you choose the correct unit going in right from the beginning, because the standard cooling models cannot be field converted to low ambient models. These standard cooling models also do not have wired remote control capability. They come with a wireless controller, and that's your only choice right now. Low ambient cooling models will operate down to 5 degrees in the 9,000 and 12,000 BTU units and 0 degrees in the 18,000 and 24,000 BTU systems. Heat pumps will operate down to 5 degrees in cooling for the 9,000 and 12,000 BTU systems and 0 degree F for the 18,000 and 24,000 BTU systems. The units listed here are the S, 9, 12, 18, and 24, and the E, 9, 12, and 18, and 24 have blue fin condenser coating. That's a special coating that provides protection against some harsh environments. That's something that you would want to talk with us about, and extends the life of non-coated condensers. In the larger tonnage in the rack product line, that would be 2.5 and 3 tons, comes both in cooling only and heat pumps, and again in 2.5 ton and 3 ton, 16 SEER efficiency level. Low ambient is standard wireless control, but now we can provide a wired controller. And again, this would be for your IT rooms and server rooms where they might want a controller mounted on the wall. We can also go with, there is also long line set capability here. We can go up to 165 feet with pretty healthy changes in elevation. That's something that you want to talk with us when you purchase the equipment or when you're selling the job. This product line, the rack product line, has its own line of controls. We can't mix with the Pac controls that we'll talk about in a few minutes. We also have multi-zone systems as well. Here we're showing a 1.5 ton 2-zone unit with 2 9,000 BTU high walls. This will give you individual zoning in each space, and again, both in cooling only and in heat pump. This might provide an advantage over other brands because some of the other brands, multi-zone equipment systems, only come in heat pump. Cooling only will save a little bit of cost there. And this is not something you want to use in low ambient operation. It's meant for space cooling and space heating only. There are also multi-zone systems in larger tonnage capacities in 1.5 ton, 2 ton, and 2.5 ton. Focusing on the outdoor units, that lower column, the model numbers that you see there are CU-3, CU-4, and again CU-4 for the 1.5, 2 ton, and 2.5 ton systems respectively. The 3 tells you that there's 3 ports on that 1.5 ton unit and 4 ports on the 2 ton and the 2.5 ton unit. You can use a variety of indoor units up to 130% of the outdoor unit capacity, so that means you can mix the style of the indoor unit and have different capacities as long as you don't exceed, in terms of BTUs, 130% of that outdoor unit capacity. Many different combinations are possible. There's over 1,000 with these 3 different systems. And just to give an indication of the many different combinations for the 1.5 ton, there's about 150 different combinations. And with all these systems, you have to use a minimum of 2 indoor units. So for that 1.5 ton, minimum of 2, and you can go up to 3 indoor units. The 24,000 and 31,000 BTU systems, you can have minimum of 2 indoor units and a maximum of 4. And again, these are meant for regular space cooling and heating. Cooling operation is only down to 14 degrees. This table shows just a sample of the numerous different combinations you can have with that 1.5 ton outdoor unit. And again, you need to use a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 3, of course. The single room operation is just showing what the cooling and heating capacities are for any individual unit that you might have in that system. Here's a combination table for the 2-ton unit, and again, 2, 3, and we're not showing the 4-room combinations. That would extend down further down the table than the screen allows, but it is in the engineering literature. And then the same combination table for the 2.5-ton system, and again, you can have 2, 3, or 4-room combinations. And again, you can have all these different outdoor units with different combinations in terms of capacity and style, your high walls and your ceiling cassettes. Right, and here's another example of that 1.5-ton system with 2 9,000 BTU high walls in there. And again, we have the flexibility of going with 2, 3, or 4 zones with these systems. Another example showing 3 high walls on a 24,000 BTU unit. And again, we can exceed the capacity of the outdoor unit by up to 130%. Again, most of these systems come with wireless controllers. There's 2 different styles. The one on the left is a simple on-off with various controls for the fan speed, for the louver control, whether you want air swing or a fixed position for the louver. The control on the right gives you set point and scheduling capabilities. The remote unit is on, when in the on mode, communicates every 3 minutes with the indoor unit. If it loses communication with the indoor unit due to a power interruption, the remote will restart the unit. And it's important to locate the remote in an area where the signal can be received by the indoor unit. This is an infrared controller, so you have to have line of sight. Think line of sight here. You have to have a clear path from the remote control to the indoor unit so the signal can be received by the indoor unit, and so the control can see what the indoor unit is doing. Once the outdoor unit is started, there's a 3-minute delay on startup of the indoor unit. That's to allow the indoor coil to reach the cooling temperature that's desired, or the heating temperature that's desired. Installation of these is important, or installation practices are important to this unit. Try to avoid close proximity to electronic devices and lighting. Electronic devices and lighting devices sometimes give off radio emissions that can interfere with communications between the remote control and the indoor unit. If you have 2 indoor units in the same space, let's say a very large room, you can still achieve zone control with those. You can set one control to control one unit and the other control to control the other unit. You can have different set points or different fan operation, whatever is best for the customer. You can also control these indoor units by onboard controls on the high wall. Each of these units comes with instructions to accomplish that. There's a number of automatic functions in these controls. The system will restart after a power failure. That's an automatic feature. So that means you do not have to go out there and reset. You won't get those nuisance calls from the customers. There's also a 1 hour off timer. If you're going to be leaving the space and you want to turn the system off, but you just want to do it before you leave, you can set that to 1 hour, or think of this like an unoccupied hours feature. Punch the button and it will operate for 1 hour. And these, the more sophisticated control does have 24-hour scheduling capabilities on board. There's on-off for every day, several different functions that are allowed. There's also a maximum capacity mode. By pressing the high power mode, the unit will run in the high mode for 30 minutes. So if you're out of the house for some period of time or out of the office for some period of time, the heat just shot through the ceiling, you hit that high power button and it will just run to bring the temperature down more quickly than it would otherwise. There's also night setback features, so the customer doesn't have to think about it. In the cooling and dry mode, the night setback will raise the temperature 2 degrees after 30 minutes and then another 2 degrees after the next 30 minutes. In the heating mode, or the night setback mode, the setting temperature is automatically lowered 4 degrees after 30 minutes and then another 4 degrees in the next 30 minutes. This saves energy without having to program in night setback temperatures and set points. The louvers on the high wall units and the ceiling cassettes can be controlled. There's an automatic air sweep control, and if you look at the top diagram, in the cool mode, the flap or the louver will circulate the cool air so it's shot out, so it's thrown across the room so it can fall into the occupied space. So we bring the air out at a higher elevation to cover the room better. In the heating mode, we want to get that heat down to the floor where people are, and so the louver operates in that lower setting right there. Or you can fix the louver in a fixed position. When we move to the Pac product, we do have wired remote options for the models listed there. No wire kit is required, and you can have a maximum 32-foot maximum wire length. And again, wired remote option is not available for the smaller models in the rack product. Here's one of the wired controllers, works with the models listed here in the 2.5 and 3 ton rack product. And the 12 and 18 Pac product. This wall mounted model does require an additional wire kit listed here, and that gives you jack plug connections, which makes things a little bit easier and more convenient, saves time and money. We also have some indoor air quality options here. There's an anti-mold filter, which is treated with an anti-mold chemical to prevent mold or bacteria from growing. Electrical wiring is fairly simple with this. We're going to bring from the breaker, we're going to use AWG12, and we'd like to see you use stranded wire. That gives us better continuity in the electrical wiring, and the reason that we want that will be covered in the wiring between the outdoor unit and the indoor unit. In the wiring between the outdoor unit and the indoor unit, we want you to use 16 gauge stranded wire, and again, that gives you better continuity. The reason that continuity is so important is that this wire not only carries the primary power, but it also carries control signal as well. And control signals are very sensitive to discontinuities in wire, and sometimes the wire isn't quite what we desire, and so stranded wire covers both bases there. The multiple units, the multi-zone units are also are wired in a similar fashion. You power the outdoor unit, and then the outdoor unit power between the outer unit, the power between the outdoor unit and the indoor unit is the outdoor unit powers the indoor unit in both cases here. So we have wired terminals on the outdoor unit for both indoor unit A and indoor unit B as listed here. And so in a case where we have a 4-zone model, there would be 4 sets of terminals for those additional 2 units. Let's talk about Pac Products now. This is your more commercial product. The Pac product comes in 26,000 to 42,000 BTU capacities. The nomenclature is the indoor unit starts with an S and the outdoor unit starts with a U. And again, this can be either a condensing unit or cooling only, or it can be a heat pump as well. Second set of characters is your capacity, and the P series is that stands for Pac. And then your and the Pac also offers a wider variety of indoor units. All these units, I haven't talked about voltage yet. All these units are 208, 230 single phase, both for the indoor unit and the outdoor unit. And again, the indoor units are powered by the outdoor units. Here's a lineup of the outdoor units. And again, they come in a range of 26,000 BTUs to 42,000 BTUs, both in cooling only and in heat pump. Dimensions are there, fairly small equipment, easy to handle by 1 or 2 people. And again, power supply is 230 single phase. Range of operation is down to 0 degrees in cooling and down to 5 degrees in heating. This becomes important. Typically speaking, you're not going to rely on this equipment as a sole source of heating. We do have auxiliary means of controlling auxiliary heat with this equipment as well. Here's the greater variety of indoor units that are available on the Pac product. We have the high wall unit, the ceiling suspended, ceiling cassette, and a ductable unit. This is the high wall unit. It's cooling and heat pump capable, so it comes in both cooling only and heat pump. Nice design, easily serviced. It's a relatively small unit. The front cover opens for access to wiring and other controls and other parts. Very quiet. Typically, there's going to be other devices in the room that will be louder than this unit here. Wireless control is included, but a wired control is available. And again, with the applications that I mentioned earlier, IT rooms, server rooms, a lot of people like having that wired control so the control doesn't walk away. But there is a lock-in bracket available for the wireless control that you can purchase as well, and to fix that in place. Another indoor unit is the ceiling suspended. The supplier comes out that louver on the front of it. Return air is through the bottom there. You can see the return air grill. This means you can locate this right up to an outside wall, and that'll become important in a second when I show you the next slide. And again, this is cooling only and heat pump. Comes in both cooling only and heat pump, and we have fresh air capability. We can introduce outdoor air to this unit. Wired remote is included, and we can get you a wireless as an option. And again, very quiet equipment. Very popular unit here is a ceiling cassette. And again, comes in both cooling only and heat pump. It comes with its own wired remote with wireless as an option. Adjustable 4-way discharge. The 4 louvers on this unit can operate in the swing mode, or they can be fixed as well. You can introduce fresh air, and there's an optional plenum kit that you need to purchase to accomplish that. And you can duct off this unit. If you look on the front part of the gray cabinet there's a little knockout there for branch ducting. And both this unit and the previous unit come with their own condensate pumps. And we also have a ducted unit, a ductable unit, again, available in cooling only and heat pump. There's a maximum duct run, just 25 feet. You can use flex duct, but of course local code usually requires you can only have, there's a maximum of about 5 feet for a flexible duct on these, depending on the jurisdiction that you're in. Wired remote is included, and there's also some options on the return openings. Good for larger areas where you might need to reach multiple rooms. You can do that with this single unit, and there's a built-in condensate pump in this as well. I mentioned a little while ago that you probably cannot rely on this for the sole source of heat, but the system does allow you to control an auxiliary heat, such as baseboard, or in this case we have a small duct heater here. You would need to acquire the 26H connector, and then there's a 2-wire cable that we need to get, and that would control a relay, which would control your auxiliary heat. Okay, we had a question here. What size are the ducts off the ductable unit? Okay, the supplies are 8 inches in diameter. And then, the CFM that they can supply, ductless equipment or mini split systems like this are a little bit different. I think, if you've been in the HVAC industry for any length of time, you're probably used to seeing 400 CFM per ton. This equipment is typically 325 to 350 CFM per ton, and again, the static's going to come into play there as well. So it's a, I had a question here that I'm trying to answer. What CFM can they supply? It's going to vary by tonnage, but just to give one example. Right, the 3-ton unit on high, medium, and low speed can supply 1,060 CFM, 920 CFM, and 750 CFM. And that's at a relatively low static, about a quarter or 3/10 of an inch or so. All right, low ambient wind baffles. These are always recommended whether you have a heat pump or cooling only for a couple of different reasons. Heat pumps will go into defrost mode periodically if frost builds up, and that's going to happen with heat pumps in this area. It's just the way, as they're pulling heat out of the air, they cool the air, and you're gonna have some frost build up on the outdoor coils. The way that they defrost with this equipment is the equipment turns off, and due to pressure differential, some of the hotter gas that comes back through the discharge line, and that will assist in defrosting the coils. You want that wind baffle, so if you have a stiff breeze, you're not, you don't have too much cold air going over those coils and fighting off your your gas coming back that will be defrosting your coils. The other reason that you need wind baffles is, again, if we have a stiff breeze and you're in partial capacity, whether in heating or cooling, the outdoor fan is going to be turning at a relatively low RPM. A stiff wind will speed that fan up, and that will affect the capacity control of the unit. When the unit sees that fan turning faster, it will react. So whenever you install these units, low ambient wind baffles are highly recommended. Save yourself a trip going back, put it on when you install the system. And here's, the other thing that, the other reason that you want to put these on, it helps avoid snow buildup against the unit. Electrical wiring for the Pac systems. Again, this is your 26 through 42,000 BTU systems. You're going to run your power supply, again, 2A230 single phase, using 12 gauge stranded to L1 and L2. And again, the indoor units are powered off the outdoor units. So you have your terminals 1 and 2 up at the top of this diagram, and your ground. Use 16 gauge stranded there. And then for control wiring, if you use that particular control, use single pair shielded cable. Let's talk about some of the controller options. We have wired and wireless controls. As we covered earlier, some of the units come with their own wireless controls, little handheld units, much like a TV remote. We also have system controllers, which can control more than one unit. That would be number 2 there, the CZ-64. And we also have simple remotes that just provide warm and cool adjust and some fan control. And then we have the wireless ones. Some of them are 2 parts. When you go from the provided wired controller for the cassettes and for the ceiling suspended, if you want to install a wireless, you have to mount a receiver inside those units, and then you have a controller that mounts on the wall. That would be number 5. One of those receivers, the top one is meant for, I believe, the ceiling suspended, and the bottom one is meant for the ceiling cassette. Clearances. As with any condensing unit or heat pump, you do have to provide certain clearances for proper operation of the equipment. This would be in the installation instructions, but this just gives you a general idea how much room you need. On the discharge side, you need to stay 48 inches away from any obstructions, and there's also requirements for a minimum clearance above the unit. On the indoor units, you want to maintain a minimum clearance of 6 inches from the ceiling and then 2 inches from each end. And then, of course, you want to be somewhat off the floor by a minimum of 5 feet. And go to each of the individual installation manuals for any given system for the particular requirements. All right, I think we're all familiar with R410A at this point. It's a higher pressure refrigerant, about 1.6 times higher than R22. The compressor oil is different. Do not use existing line sets unless they're properly cleaned, and I would say steer away from that in any case. Conventional systems, if you're thinking of, if you're replacing an existing ducted system and it's an R410A system, and the line sizing is proper, then you can do that. But don't try to use piping from a conventional split AC system for two reasons. One, the sizing will probably not be correct. Two, there might be traps. We don't do traps with ductless split systems. Three, the oil is different. We're not using mineral oil here. We're using POE oil. You're going to be using different gauges. They must be R410A equipped, and even the contamination, even the use of R22 hoses can result in some contamination of the POE oil. Be careful there. Only charge the refrigerant in liquid form. And for technical information, we do have some tech support for this equipment in-house here at TEC, but there's also a website listed below. And you'll be able to get this information off our website because this webinar will be posted there. And save yourself a trip. The service ports on this equipment are 5/16 as opposed to 1/4. TEC does carry these adapters that Ritchie part number 19173 that is in our parts books. I mentioned that some of the units come with condensate pumps, the sealing suspended, and the sealing cassette. You can rely on gravity, but if you do need a condensate pump, we also can provide you with pumps. We typically use Sauermann with these units. Line sets. You must insulate. If you don't buy a ductless split line set as shown here, you must insulate both the liquid line and the suction line. These line sets typically come with flare fittings. One note of caution for the City of Chicago. City of Chicago does not allow mechanical fittings or mechanical connections. So a flare connection is a mechanical fitting. What they like to see is brazed line connections. So in the city, if you're on a job, the inspector comes in, there have been cases where they make them cut off the flare fittings and braze the connections. You need to pay attention to that issue. It's a code compliance issue that we leave to you. Also, the City of Chicago also requires 1/2 inch insulation on the line sets as well. There's that locking bracket that I mentioned for the wireless controller. If you want to protect that wireless controller from theft or from just getting lost, you can buy this locking bracket and secure it to the wall or some other surface. With the fresh air capability of the cassette unit, if you want to take advantage of that, you need to buy this air intake plenum, the fresh air intake plenum. Right now, Panasonic is in the middle of creating a new catalog. So this is a cover of the old one, and they're very far along in development, proofreading, and so on. This will be available soon. When that becomes available, I will post the electronic version to our website, so keep your eyes open for that. And that's going to give you all the specifications that you need, including dimensions, capacities, line set charts, allowed combination of the multi-zone units, and so on. And here's a typical page showing the various information that's available, pretty much everything you need. To get complete information, please contact us for submittals, or you can go to the website for submittals as well, the Panasonic website. I mentioned long line set runs that this equipment is capable of achieving. This is just a sample of the table. There are some systems that can go as far as 164 feet with, again, pretty fairly large changes in elevation. Refer to the table or call us and we can help you out on that as well. The condensing unit is pre-charged for a predetermined line set length. That does vary. Some of them are 15 feet, some of them go up to about 25 feet. You need to look at each system to determine exactly what you need. Operation ranges, typically we give you let me back up. This is the outdoor air conditions that this equipment operates in. We can operate from 0 degrees in cooling up to 115 degrees, and then with the low ambient equipment down to 60 degrees with the standard cooling only equipment, and then the heat pumps. There's quite a variety there. Please refer to the chart for the exact system that you're purchasing. There's also some literature and web improvements that have been that are in progress right now. Keep your eyes open for that. If you go to our website, we do have line cards pictured on our website with the manufacturers. That'll take you right to their website. And again, going with the comment I made earlier about brand awareness with Panasonic, it's the rare person that wouldn't recognize a Panasonic name. It's something that people are comfortable with. They probably, many people probably have Panasonic TVs, bathroom fans, and other appliances in their homes. So it's something that you won't face an unknown product name here with Panasonic. For dealers, we do have some banners available. Other literature is available. Counter mats are available if you'd like some of these for your shops and to hand out to your customers. And as I mentioned right at the beginning, Panasonic does have commercial product as well. Variable refrigerant flow, or VRF, is an emerging technology. There's quite a bit of it installed in the Chicago area already. Panasonic soon will have systems ranging up to 48 tons, air-cooled only at this point, but they are working on a water source system. And again, these systems can be paired up with ductless split systems, both just as a means of serving various areas and controls-wise. Service and technical support. There is a national training center. We do technical training in our training rooms on a periodic basis. We're heading right into the cooling season, so we probably won't be doing these until fall, but we will offer training on both the duct-free systems and the VRF systems, either in Melrose Park, probably in Melrose Park, in the early fall. And again, there are technical support folks online at that 800 number. We also can provide installation commissioning assistance. That is provided by a Panasonic employee, and I've been out with this fellow. He's very good. Provides great support. Here's the classes that are available for both the mini splits, for the rack, and for the Pac systems. And then EcoEye, that's our VRF product line. That is, and we offer courses on installation, commissioning, and service. Some of these courses are offered online right now. Contact me if you wish to take advantage of those. Warranty. 7-year compressor warranty is standard, and if you've gone through the training, there are certain requirements there. We want to make sure that the equipment is installed correctly. Our experience with this equipment is most times when we have a problem, it's an installation issue. So make sure you're comfortable with installing this equipment. If you're not, give us a call and we'll hook you up with some training either online or on a one-to-one basis. 5-year parts warranty and 1-year wireless and wired remote control warranties. And I want to thank you for your time. I've answered a couple of questions here. If you have any, please feel free to type them in. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any questions here. I'll hang on here for another 5 minutes or so. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them in. And otherwise, thank you for your time.